I'm sure you've heard the expression like a knife through butter. You know, it's meant to signify that something was super easy. Couldn't have gone any better. It was a dream. The knife just cut through that butter. There were no problems. But that saying is a little bit misleading as far as I'm concerned, because it can be frustratingly difficult to actually scrape butter with a knife if the butter is cold. The trick, of course, is to think ahead, put the butter out on the counter and let it warm up to room temperature. Then the knife will cut through butter like a dream. And this reminds me of influencing customer behaviour. If they are cold, you will feel enormously frustrated, just like trying to scrape cold butter. You know, it's bitsy, you can't get any momentum, they're resisting you. It's annoying. It takes a lot of time. Clearly, then, the answer lies in warming up the butter and warming up your customers first. But before I tell you how, let's talk about why you don't do that already. As the behaviour explainer, I talk a lot about behavioural economics, how we are wired. Well, part of how we are wired is we focus on the short term, not on the future. We are over-optimistic about our talents and our chances for success. We fall for the planning fallacy, where we underestimate how long and difficult something might be and completely ignore the roadblocks that we're likely to encounter. So all this means that we are not wired to put the butter out on the counter unless we deliberately plan for it and make it a habit. With our customers, we tend to jump in and make it up as we go along. We falsely believe that we're being more efficient because we're starting sooner. Here's the rub though. I talk about things being effortless influence. I do not talk about them being effort none. In other words, there is always going to be effort required in any behavioural exchange. Whenever you are trying to get someone to do something, you are going to require effort. Your choice is where to expend that effort. The typical pattern is something like this. In the typical scenario, what people do is get really keen to jump straight in. So, limited preparation. I'm going to ask the customer to take action, and what happens? Well, the customer isn't sure about that, so then they have to think about it, and they might backtrack, and then they might go around in circles, and then ultimately it's like, well, we've lost control of that circumstance. We don't know actually what our behavioural objective was. We've had the ask, but we haven't done any of the preparation, so we end with an unsatisfactory experience from the customer's perspective as well as ours. Simpler, cleaner and more efficient use of our effort is to, before we ask the customer, we do some preparation in terms of, well, what are we going to ask them? This is where you might be thinking about, what's my behavioural objective? If I need to get them from A to B, how am I going to do that? What resistance am I likely to encounter? Then once you ask them, it's going to be a fairly straightforward path to resolution. So unlike the first scenario where effort was wasted, here we're expending our effort here but getting a satisfactory return on doing that. Next time you hear like a knife through butter, think about the effort it takes for something to be effortless. Thinking up front means a clearer, less frustrating, more rewarding interaction. Until next time, keep behaving.